Welcome back to part 2 of the Harvard Supplemental Essay Guide by the College Essay Advisors podcast. I'm Stacey Brooke. I'm the founder and chief advisor at College Essay Advisors.
I'm Becca Myers. I am Director of Advising at College Essay Advisors.
Let's pick up where we left off with Harvard's third supplemental essay prompt.
Okay. How do you hope to use your Harvard education in the future? 200 words. This question is a little easier for people who know what they want to do when they get to Harvard, people who are not undecided, those who have some semblance of an idea of what they might want to study. And then I think dream big, talk about your professional aspirations. Like, where do you see this going for you? Your study of social sciences, your study of mathematics, your study of dinosaur fossils, archaeology. Study archaeology. That sounds fun.
It's never too late. Dream big.
It's so hard. So I think specifics here are crucial just in terms of you want to steer away from generalities. This is also a great place to research the resources of Harvard. Like, how will Harvard help you achieve these goals? I think this question has two purposes as far as I'm concerned. One is for Harvard to get a sense of, okay, as an alum, where will you be? Like, what might we expect from you? Because they love successful alumni. They love people who come in. I think the story of presentation and admissions used to be about having the whole package, and now it's a little bit more about, can you tell us what you like, what you might specialize in? Like, can we have a sense of what kind of a person you might be? That doesn't mean you can't change your mind. So I think that's part of it. And the other part of it is, do you know why you want to go here at all? Other than that it's Harvard, is there something that we can help you with to get where you want to go? That's not really the thrust of the question. It's not in the, I think it's in the subtext just a bit.
Do you think this is a place where you could briefly reference an alumnus in your field who's gone there?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Love that idea. Totally love that idea. Who's gone to Harvard? No one's gone to Harvard. Where do you find one of those? Um, this is a little bit more challenging for students who are undecided. As so many Y essays are. This isn't exactly a Y essay, but there I think you can be a little bit more broad, maybe a little more speculative in terms of what you might want to do. And I think potentially even focus on what kind of critical thinking skills, what kind of analytical skills, what kind of creative skills you're hoping to come away with, and how you're going to acquire those. If you're having issues putting your finger on what you want to do because you're 17, and who knows what they want to do when they're 17, I certainly did not. That is totally okay. And I think, what would a successful college education bring you that would help you succeed in the future? Maybe that's a good place to start. Okay, last question, and what I think might be the most challenging of the bunch. Top 3 things your roommate might like to know about you. I love this question, but I think students have a hard time with it sometimes because they're like, what does Harvard want from me here? And the answer is, they don't know. That's your job, is to find out what they want from you here. I think this is a great place for random facts, interesting tidbits that maybe weren't robust enough to fill out a full essay. What are some of the things you like? What are some of the things you do? Where are your quirks? What are your interests beyond academics? I don't know, what's in your room. A lot of times, because I'm a pack rat and a minor hoarder. You wouldn't know by this beautiful white background that I'm using to fake you out, but my apartment is just full of stuff I've collected over the course of my 40 years on this earth. And so I just look around my apartment when I think about this stuff, and I just try to think about, what do my roommates need to know? They need to know that I will be bringing 2,000 comic books with me to the room. So if you thought you were getting space on the bookshelf, you're not, because I've been a lifelong comic book collector, and that's a thing that will be coming with me. Don't touch them. You can read them with my permission, but you can't touch them otherwise.
Are they in plastic?
No, they're actually not. This isn't an exaggeration. I have probably about they're actually all trade paperbacks. They're not comic books, and there aren't 1,000 of them. There are probably like 200.
Nice.
But they're heavy, and they are all coming to the dorm room. Um, anyway, I'm elaborating because I'm just trying to give an example of a thing that might be useful to someone. What else? Like, are you a plant mom? This is another one. I'm just thinking about my apartment. Did you become a plant mom over COVID? And are those your darling baby children that you would sacrifice everything, including a vacation for? I've definitely come home from a vacation thinking I have to get to my plants. And I never thought I would care for a living thing before. So, like, will you help me with those? What else does a roommate need to know about you?
I listen usually when I used to teach college, I would start every semester by listening to Evita. That was how I would really motivate myself, was to listen to Don't Cry for Me Argentina over and over in my office
Oh,
just for like the
wow.
first day or two. And like always try for the high notes. So that would be sort of my
So what your roommate needs to know about you is that they need to put in a roommate switch request
transfer.
immediately. Transfer request immediately.
Well,
Exactly.
this is actually an important part of this question
Heck
because
no.
this question was kind of it's reminiscent of the Stanford question about
Yes.
like write a letter
Yes.
to your
Letter to your
roommate.
roommate.
And that's like very difficult because I've had students in the past that lean too far in one direction of
Yes.
like, well, here's an example. I'm kind of an introvert. And so if I got that letter from my roommate that said, get ready for me to drag you to parties all the time, or if everything was just enthusiasm, enthusiasm, I would be terrified. So I think there needs to be this balance. Like I asked my husband this question: what are 3 things you wish you'd known about me? Because my husband is my roommate. And he
Mhm.
immediately went into like, well, you always leave one dish in the sink. Always just one dish. It's like your calling card. You can't quite finish them, right? There was a lot of physical space answers from him before I cut him off and said, rude, you're done. So I think that you want to emphasize, you can have maybe, if you're going to do this list and you're going to have one sort of like, I only do half the laundry. The other two, I think, should be positive things. I don't think we need a litany of ways that you will fail as a roommate, nor do we need a list of like ways that you might over decorate or listen to Taylor Swift nonstop. Like I think we need to feel that you are
100%.
also a roommate that someone would want to have. That's an important part.
Listen, this one, I think, as opposed to the Stanford one, is a little bit less about what it's going to be like to live with a person.
Oh, true.
I don't think that's as much of the question. And no matter what, I think all of them should be positive. Even the Avita answer shows me you have a sense of humor because you think anyone would ever want to listen to that. So I mean, just putting yourself out there, I think is positive in and of itself. I'm gonna hard disagree on the you can't be too enthusiastic. If that's who you are, I think you should show admissions all of that.
Oh,
I don't
interesting.
think you need to temper that, but what I do think you need to do is diversify the ways that you're showing that. Um, like you can like show your sociability in a variety of ways, or I mean, maybe you're going to play sports like during every break in your classes, or I mean, there are probably a bunch of different ways that you could demonstrate that don't all involve torturing your roommate.
Right. I think that was my issue with it was this particular student. First of all, this was the longer essay, right? This was not just a
Right.
3 things about you. And every example was ways in which the roommate would be put in a position of forced merriment or having
Yes.
to go with said roommate. And that was really something we had to pull back on.
We're not calling on the roommate to do anything in this particular essay. We're telling them 3 things. I think they have to be 3 completely different things. Diversity of representation here in terms of your interests and the tidbits. I mean, one thing your roommate might need to know about you is that I mean, one thing they might need to know about you is that you're like a perpetual hummer. If somebody like if you hear a song, you will be singing the first line of, I don't know, give me a song.
Don't cry for me,
Oh my God.
Argentina.
For the whole semester. My transfer application
Mhm.
is in. It has been in since I mentioned that. I'm trying to think what else. I mean, are there things that you have special interests in? Like, are you a person who will see like every traveling Broadway show that comes through town? Are you a person who like what are some other fun, interesting things about you? Also things that a lot of other people will say, like sleep schedules, food preferences, like other things that are very dorm, I tend to steer away from a little bit just because I think they come up a lot. Anyway, so Harvard has these 5 questions. There's, as you can see, a wide range of potential for things you can reveal about yourself that aren't anywhere else on the application. This is one of those ones where trial and error is your friend. I often encourage students just to kind of like spit things out, get the ball rolling. Um, Again, like the Brown application, like the Yale application, these are ones that usually require some revisiting. So don't be frustrated um, or disconcerted if you can't figure it out on the first try. This is one that just kind of requires a lot of brainstorming and revision in order to really get the balance right on this. But
Yeah. I think that this is also an opportunity to insert a little humor, particularly because some of the other questions like Harvard education and maybe the diversity question, it's harder to have lightness in those. I mean, you can, but I think this is
mhm,
a moment where you can say, I do an amazing impression of, right?
Becca singing Evita.
Yeah. Is it an impression or is it you roasting me? It's really hard. It's a fine
Listen,
line.
porque no los dos? I think we covered it. We're gonna
Yeah,
let
we
the
did
people
it. We
go.
did
We're
it.
gonna
Like we're
talk
done.
about something else
This is
and
me wiping my hands of it. Done.
the Harvard application forever. I happen to be excited about the changes to this. I know we all feel slightly differently, but I think it was time for Harvard to shake it up. So
I call it hardvard because it's hard.
it's a hard one.
That's our episode for today. Thank you so much for listening or watching. If you like our content, please like and subscribe to follow us for more. Happy writing!